Congratulations on the NBA record, Angel. Tell me about you guys. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm talking about. She knows.
No, I don't, because I be setting NBA records too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right. So tell me.
Reese has made the damn news again. And I'm telling you right now, Angel Reese had figured out a way to epically troll the WNBA and all of her haters. And I have to say, she's genius for it. She is. She know everybody don't like her. And she say little things to make sure she try to stay relevant, because we know it's slowly diminished, and Angel Reese will realize, damn, my hype going down. Let me do some foolish stuff or say something.
Player of the year, so I want all the smoke. All the smoke. So
who's the best player in the country?
To the media or me?
As you see it.
I feel like I'm the best player in the country. Yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me.
Be setting NBA records too. I don't know what you talking about. Oh my God, Angel. Look at Angel. Angel's got locked up by Cameron Brink, then fell on the floor and started crying, bro. Look, this.
Angel Reese just could not help herself. She had the basketball world's full attention for one night, for one genuinely impressive rebounding performance. And instead of just letting that moment breathe, she turned it into a headline about the NBA. Yes, the NBA. A league she has never played a single second in. That's not an exaggeration. That's exactly what came out of her mouth on a live post-game broadcast.
But threw it away. First turnover for the Sparks. Reese answered. Offensive rebound, and Reese is going to pick up an offensive foul.
The matriarch of me-bounds was very angry last night, and who can blame her? It was another unbelievably bad performance from Angel Reese. Where are all those lonely men who were bombarding me last week on Twitter? Where are all those desperate wankers who were trying to convince me that Angel Reese descended from the heavens? Hey, asshole, did you see Angel Reese tonight? Wowzer! She's the best player in the league! My queen is better than you!
And by the next morning, half of basketball social media was talking about it for reasons that had nothing to do with her actual rebounding numbers. The timing couldn't have been more revealing either. This comment didn't come out of nowhere, floating in a vacuum. It came during a stretch where Caitlin Clark has completely dominated the WNBA conversation, where every highlight reel, every ratings report, every sold-out road arena has her name attached to it. Reese is a good player having a strong statistical season, but she hasn't been the center of the basketball world's attention in months. So when a golden opportunity landed in her lap, a legitimate, record-breaking performance that could have kept the spotlight on her for at least a day or two, she found a way to make sure people were still talking about her. Just maybe not for the reason she wanted. Let's give credit where credit is genuinely due first, because this part isn't up for debate. Reese hauled in 26 rebounds.
A new WNBA record for rebounds in a game. 26 rebounds in a game. Glad that's over. We sure spent a lot of time on that, didn't we? Let's get into the highlights, shall we? The Angel Reese highlights, that is. Again, I just said she had 26 rebounds. What more do you want me to do? Good job. Angel Reese went off tonight. 11 points, 4 for 4 from the field, 3 turnovers, almost as many turnovers as field goals made. Got blocked by Cam Brink 5 times. Again, 26 rebounds. Whoa.
That night against the Sparks, breaking Sylvia Fowles' single-game record of 24, which had stood since 2003. She also pushed past Aya Wilson's single-season rebounding mark, sitting at 458 boards for the year with games still left to play. That's a real, legitimate record-setting performance, and nobody serious about basketball is trying to take that away from her. Rebounding has been the one part of her game that critics simply cannot argue with, night after night, season after season. But then a reporter, clearly trying to give her a nice moment, brought up the NBA in a lighthearted way, comparing her rebounding pace to some historical NBA numbers. And instead of just laughing it off, or saying something humble about focusing on her own league, Reese leaned into the mic and said it herself, out loud on camera, for everyone to hear.
Congratulations on the NBA record, Angel. Tell me about you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. She knows.
No, I don't, because I be setting NBA records too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Just said that she sets NBA records, and it's not as crazy as it might sound. In her game yesterday, she broke the WNBA record for rebounds in a game with 26. While she had a bad shooting night, she nearly out-rebounded the Sparks by herself, grabbing 18 defensive and 8 offensive rebounds. So far in her career, she's actually in the upper echelon for many NBA and WNBA records. For example, she is second all-time in most double-doubles in the first 75 games in a career in the NBA or WNBA. In rebounds per 36 minutes, Angel Reese is third all-time NBA and WNBA behind Wilt and Bill Russell. Of course, her me-bounds technically help that number, but you don't become an all-time rebounder just off of offensive rebounds. In Reese's career, she averages 7.9 defensive rebounds per game. And that 7.9 number would put her in the top 20 in NBA history, comparable to guys like Tim Duncan and Larry Bird. And even if these records are mainly rebound-related, rebounds are still one of the most important parts of basketball. When you look at the stats, Angel Reese is one of the best rebounders in basketball history. So as crazy as this quote might sound, it's not actually far from.
She'd be setting NBA records too. Read that again. She said she's setting NBA records in the WNBA while playing exclusively in the WNBA. The room reacted immediately. So did the internet. You simply cannot say something like that and expect it to quietly disappear into the post-game notes. Here's the problem with that statement, and it isn't complicated. The NBA and the WNBA are two entirely separate leagues, with separate record books, separate history, and separate players who've spent decades building those numbers. Dennis Rodman averaged over 18 rebounds a game in some seasons, guarding some of the tallest, strongest athletes on the planet, night after night, across an 82-game grind. Wilt Chamberlain once pulled down 55 rebounds in a single game. Those are NBA records. Resetting a WNBA single game and single season rebounding record is impressive on its own terms. It didn't need the NBA comparison attached to it to matter. Adding it only made the achievement look smaller, not bigger, because now, instead of talking about her actual accomplishment, everyone's talking about the weird comment tacked onto the end of it.
Reese moves inside on Brink, blocked by Brink. Reese got it back. Turn, blocked again.
Travel. God, Angel Reese went from Atlanta to LA with the amount of traveling she just did. Holy smokes. And it wouldn't be an Angel Reese highlight if she's not falling on the floor, right? If she's not falling on the floor, it just wouldn't be right if she's not falling on the floor.
Last night, Angel Reese was shut down by that player. Blocked 5 times by Cameron Brink. If the WNBA was covered as honestly as other sports, real sports, if the WNBA was scrutinized like the NFL, the NBA, we would be talking about Cameron Brink as one of the biggest busts in the draft. 2 years ago, she was the 2nd overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. It was Caitlin Clark, then Cameron Brink. I don't think I need to explain who's had the better career. So far, Cam Brink has been a major disappointment, but last night was the highlight of her career. She completely dominated Angel Reese.
And this is where things get even more awkward, because that same exact game gave the internet a completely different storyline about Reese. One that had nothing to do with records and everything to do with her offense simply not showing up. In the first quarter, Reese drove into the paint trying to finish an easy look near the rim, and Cameron Brink, a player not exactly known as an offensive juggernaut herself, stayed in front of her, stayed disciplined, and blocked the shot clean. Reese came right back at her on the very next attempt, and Brink shut that one down too, without even needing to leave her feet the second time. 2 clean denials, back-to-back, against a player who was in the middle of announcing herself as an NBA-caliber rebounder in real time. Fans didn't let that moment slide quietly either. Clips of Brink locking her up spread across social media almost as fast as the NBA comment did, and the jokes wrote themselves. One fan pointed out that Brink didn't even have to jump to block her, calling it flat-out sad to watch. Somebody else zeroed in on the elbows Reese throws every time she drives, saying she fouls on basically every attempt and gets away with it because of how physical her reputation already is. One comment cut the deepest of all, saying she has zero offense and it's genuinely sad how she keeps getting celebrated for almost nothing at all. That's a brutal thing to read about a 3-time All-Star, but it tells
national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person.
Best player in the country.
To the media or me?
As you see it.
I feel like I'm the best player in the country.
Okay. Who's the second best player in the country?
Shit. Either Caitlin Clark or Leah Boston.
That's fair.
Top three. I feel like we the top 3 players.
And that's the thing I love. You spoke on that. You respect the hell out of Caitlin's game.
Hell yeah, I respect them. Yeah, for sure. Me and Caitlin been playing against each other since high school. We been going at it. So it's no hard blood between me and her. She's a great competitor. She's a great player. We knew going into the game, she was going to score her 30. We knew that.
Yeah, facts.
It was about the other factors that we needed to make sure they wasn't getting theirs. So
do exactly how the two halves of that night landed with fans. A real rebounding record on one side, and a genuinely rough offensive sequence, capped off by an even rougher soundbite on the other. And once you actually sit with both halves of that night side by side, the whole thing starts to look less like a one-off slip of the tongue, and more like a pattern that's been quietly following Reese for a while now. Because this isn't the first time a genuinely strong statistical night has gotten overshadowed by something she said, rather than something she did on the floor. Fans who followed her career closely pointed out that the same basic story keeps repeating itself. A real accomplishment happens. The numbers are legitimate. Nobody's disputing the box score. And then, almost like clockwork, a comment or a gesture attached to that accomplishment ends up becoming the actual headline instead of the achievement itself. That's a strange habit for a player who, by every account from teammates and coaches, genuinely works as hard as anyone in the league on the glass. Nobody questions her motor. Nobody questions the hours she puts in fighting for position under the rim, night after night, against bigger and stronger defenders. The rebounding numbers aren't hype. They're earned, possession by possession, box out by box out, in a part of the game most fans barely notice unless someone's counting. Which is exactly why the NBA comment lands so oddly. It wasn't necessary. Nobody in that room was demanding she compare herself to a completely different league playing under completely different rules with completely different levels of competition. The record she'd just broken was sitting right there, fully hers, requiring no comparison to anyone else's league to mean something. And instead of just letting the achievement stand on its own, she reached for a bigger stage that wasn't actually part of the conversation, and in doing so, handed her critics an easy opening they didn't have to go looking for. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, the Cameron Brink sequence kept circulating for a different reason entirely. It wasn't really about one block shot, or even two. It was about the contrast between the confidence in that post-game quote and what had actually happened on the floor just a few hours earlier. A defender who isn't known primarily as a rim protector standing her ground twice in a row, without fouling, without help, and getting the better of a 3-time All-Star attacking downhill in the paint. That kind of clip doesn't need commentary to spread. It just needs to exist next to a bold quote for the internet to do the rest of the work on its own. None of this erases what Reese actually accomplished that night. The rebounding record is real. The season-long mark is real. Those numbers will sit in the record book long after this particular post-game clip stops getting replayed. But nights like this one are a reminder of something that keeps showing up around her career specifically, that the loudest conversation the next morning rarely ends up being about the stat sheet, and almost always ends up being about the extra sentence attached to it.
Caitlin Clark has more career games with 30 points and 10 assists than all of the WNBA in the history of the league? Did you hear what I just said? I didn't say she had more 30-point, 10 assist games than Candace Parker, or than Diana Taurasi, or than Cynthia Cooper. The entire history of the league combined. And this is only her 3rd season, and she's done it already. And she missed a lot of her last season with an injury. Caitlin Clark is the MVP, period. Not only is she the MVP, she's one of the best women's players we have ever seen. Yes, I said it. I'll say it on First Take. I'll say it on Pat McAfee. I'll say it on Nightcap with Shannon and Ocho. I'll say it on Dan Patrick. I'll say it on Colin Cowherd. And I've been watching women's basketball for a while. I was watching Teresa Witherspoon and Cynthia Cooper. Caitlin Clark is one of the best women's players we have ever seen.
Why not just thank you? This is narcissist. Is this worse? Yes. Somebody said such a media charity case. The media has to prop her up because there isn't much else to make noise about. Of the top 10 rebounders in the league, she leads in turnovers. She is the worst shooter percentage wise in the group. She is above average height. She can collect rebounds, but she doesn't lead the defensive rebound category. You see that part right there. She doesn't lead the defensive rebound category. Yes, because Angel Reese get a lot of offensive rebounds. I told y'all, she is a strategic